Lord be with you.
And with your spirit.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew.
Grant to you, Lord.
When Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea, in the days of King Herod, behold, Magi from the east arrived in Jerusalem, saying, "Where is the newborn King of the Jews? We saw his star at its rising, and have come to do him homage." When King Herod heard this, he was greatly troubled, and all Jerusalem with him. Assembling all the chief priests and the scribes of the people, he inquired of them where the Christ was to be born. They said to him, "In Bethlehem of Judea, for thus it has been written through the prophet, and you, Bethlehem, land of Judah, are by no means least among the rulers of Judah, since from you shall come a ruler who is to shepherd my people Israel." Then Herod called the Magi secretly and ascertained from them the time of the star's appearance. He sent them to Bethlehem and said, "Go and search diligently for the child. When you have found him, bring me word, that I too may go and do him homage." After their audience with the king, they set out, and behold, the star that they had seen at its rising preceded them, until it came and stopped over the place where the child was. They were overjoyed at seeing the star, and on entering the house, they saw the child with Mary, his mother. They prostrated themselves and did him homage. Then they opened their treasures and offered him gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. And having been warned in a dream not to return to Herod, they departed for their country by another way. The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
Today is the solemnity of the Epiphany, and on the way out of church today, I would encourage you to stop by the welcome desk and to pick up some blessed chalk, as well as a little prayer. On this Epiphany Sunday, it's a beautiful tradition to mark the doors of our homes with the first letters of the three Magi's names, as well as to say a beautiful consecratory prayer, blessing your home and blessing your family. Instructions, chalk, already blessed, as well as the prayer, can be picked up out in the gathering space desk at the welcome. My dear brothers and sisters, Epiphany, which we celebrate today, is to Christmas what Pentecost is to Easter. Epiphany is to Christmas what Pentecost is to Easter. In both instances, a magnificent celebration, both of the birth of the infant king and the resurrection of the triumphant one, is finally fulfilled as it is revealed that this mystery touches not only upon a select group of people, the Jews in the case of Christmas, the apostles in the case of Easter, but all of humanity. In Epiphany, the great Magi from the east, Gentiles, non-Jews, travel to give homage to Jesus Christ, who is the King of all people. Just as at Pentecost, the newness of life given by the resurrected one is revealed to be offered to all people, not just those within the closed-off walls of the Jewish community, but to all. God will teach all of humanity to sing and to speak again. Epiphany, the revelation that Jesus is the Messiah of all peoples. He's not just the Messiah of us. Jesus is the Messiah of the Muslim. Jesus is the Messiah of the Buddhist. Jesus is the Messiah of the Hindu. Jesus is the Messiah of the atheist. There is only one Lord, one God, one Jesus, and He is the Messiah and sovereign of all. And it is our responsibility as Christians to spread this word far and wide, certainly by words and by proclaiming the dogmas and doctrines of the church, of course, but more than that, so much more, by the witness of compelling lives. Why are there not more who know Jesus? Why are there not more who cry out to the Lord to save them? Of course, this is a mystery, But at some level, we must admit it is because far too few Christians, reverend clergy included, do not live the faith well. And we are not compelling witnesses. Now, some would say that, Father, in order to make the church more evident and more compelling and bring more people in, priests and bishops and popes need to preach about this or about that. Well, maybe. And I would offer that if you feel that from this pulpit certain topics or themes are being omitted, I encourage you to let me know, because that needs to be told to me, because the faithful people of God, such as yourselves, have a sense of the faith, and you long to be formed and to be provoked in certain ways. We clergy, preachers though we are, broken as we are, we preach about oftentimes what we are comfortable with. Newsflash. And so we need to be reminded, Father, I want you to talk about this or about that. We'll see what we can do. But the fact is, you're already here. You're here. Now, we're all in different levels of engagement, different levels of discipleship. We all can do better, all of us. But you're already kind of the choir, kinda. Again, whether you sing baritone or alto, you're kind of already in the choir. So the question becomes, how do we bring those out in the murky landscape around us? How do we bring them into this little Bethlehem? How do we do that? Because frankly, most people out there on the street of Century Avenue don't really care what some young priest says, okay? But what they do care is the witness of your life. You have a fundamental, essential role in proclaiming the message of Jesus as sovereign of all people by the witness of your lives. By means of your baptism, you are missionaries, commissioned by the waters of the font to go out and to proclaim to the highways and the byways the truth of Jesus. How? How do you do that? How do you do that in a compelling way, especially when oftentimes we feel inadequate? I would like to offer 3 areas of life that I encourage you to allow to shine brightly and to embrace. 3 areas of life that correspond rather beautifully to gold, frankincense, and myrrh. These great gifts given by the Magi. These gifts, which traditionally have been interpreted as the identity of Jesus. They signify rather the identity. Gold for a king, frankincense for a priest, myrrh for one who will be buried, one who will dive into the grave to rescue the sons and daughters of Adam. They can also be interpreted as the gifts of faith, hope, and charity, the powers of the intellect, the memory, the will. But today, as we seek to inspire you to live more openly, more boldly, more fully the Christian way of life, I would encourage you to think about gold as mercy, frankincense as prayer, and myrrh as sacrifice. Mercy, prayer, and sacrifice. Let's talk a little bit about each one. Gold, mercy. The Christian must be a man or a woman of mercy. We've said many, many times before, and please God, we will say until we die, there are many challenging teachings of the church. The truth of the real presence of Jesus and the littleness of the host. The power of sinful priests to forgive sins. The church's teaching about human sexuality and openness to life. Challenging teachings nowadays. But let me tell you, I think the most difficult of them all. Forgive your enemies. Pray for those who persecute you. Offer up sacrifice and pray for those who don't like you, and indeed may even in certain parts of the world frankly want to kill you. You must pray for them. You must love them. You must see in them one like yourself. That's hard. But that is the witness that the world needs. Do we talk like everybody else, judging this person and that, this group and that, putting people into nice boxes that can be stored away? Do we jump right in when gossip comes our way? Ooh, let me put in my 2 cents. Or do we in fact silence ourselves and challenge that injustice to someone's reputation? Do we strive to be merciful and kind, especially again to those who are not merciful and kind to us? My brothers and sisters, mercy lies at the centerpiece of the Christian moral life because we have been forgiven. Therefore, we must show mercy to others. Are we men and women of mercy? Are we men and women who strive to give others the benefit of the doubt? Who reach out to the broken and the poor and those who cannot give back? We must be men and women who live by the gold standard of mercy. Now, this doesn't mean that we excuse bad behavior, that we don't challenge sin, confront it, speak boldly about evil. But we are, at our core, people of mercy who believe in a Father of mercy. Number 2, frankincense, prayer. The Christian way of life means nothing without prayer. It must be buoyed and built upon the foundation of prayer. Our relationship with God, which must be the primary relationship of our life, even before our relationship with our spouse, with our kids, with any club or political institution, with God first. Certainly this means that we must gather with the faithful on the weekends, Saturday night, Sunday morning, Sunday night, breaking bread with the household of God. God must be first in our schedule. We also should be known as people who take time for prayer. We tell our colleagues, our family members, I am praying for you. Does our house bear witness to our belief? As we like to say, if someone, heaven forbid, were to break into our house, would they know that we are a Christian? Or just a Vikings fan? Come on, if the Gophers can do it, maybe the Vikes can too. Let's all hope together. Do we manifest in our daily life by how we talk and interact with one another that we are people of faith, people of prayer, broken, frail, trying to do our best in the midst of our own sinfulness? But are we known as people of prayer, not in an obnoxious way, but in a way that is just part of who we are? Yeah, that's Erickson. He always prays on Saturday nights from 10 to 11 or whatever it is. That's what they do. Prayer must be a part of who we are. And it should be something that others are aware of. Not again because we are broadcasting it, but just because that's who we are. Number 3, myrrh, sacrifice. The Christian's life must be marked by the cross. We are the followers of the crucified. No one, Jesus says, who does not take up his cross and follow after me can be my disciple. No one. The Lord is very clear that the narrow way is the way of salvation. By our recreation, by how we use our spare time, are we known rather as people of sacrifice, of people of self-restraint, people who put others first? If we are married, are we generous? Are we willing to sacrifice our time for one another as spouses? Are we open to life? Are we open to what the Lord may be asking of us to welcome a new life into our home? Do we sacrifice, financially sacrifice for the good of the parish, for the good of the poor? Are we willing to feel the edge of suffering such as it is, as we give up going out or this TV show or this streaming device so that someone else may actually feed their children? Are we willing to sacrifice? This is a compelling witness for the world. They love not only in their words, but in their actions. Not only do they have some nice fancy artwork on their wall, but they actually care about their brother or their sister. That must be the way in which we proclaim the sovereignty of Christ. The gold of mercy the frankincense of prayer, the myrrh of sacrifice. Brothers and sisters, you are missionaries. And one of the fundamental vocations that you have is to bring others into contact with Jesus. That is your responsibility, not just preachers. It is your responsibility. Strive to take that responsibility well. Strive to bring the little ones from out there into this little Bethlehem by being stars yourself, shining with the light of the merciful one. Let us strive to bring all those we encounter into contact with Jesus, the Lord and Messiah of all people.